328 for 4. Naseem Shah yet to score. Saud Shakil 35. Pakistan won the toss. They chose to bat first. They lost that early wicket. Saim out for 4. He was caught down the leg side off Atkinson, and that was 8 for 1. And smiles on England's faces, but they didn't take another wicket for 253 runs. And that was the partnership between Abdullah and Shan Masood, the newish captain. Abdullah 102. Rarish feat of reaching his 50 and his 100 with 6s. Shan Masood just was graceful. He played beautifully. Hard to believe it's been 4 years actually since he last scored that 100 up at Old Trafford. 151. Shafiq 102. Both falling to tired shots. Tired drives, really. One caught in the covers, one caught and bowled. And then the big one. Babar Azam looking dangerous, looking well set. Lovely piece of bowling from Woakes. As I said, there was the ball before that did in, that was moved away and beat the bat. And Babar, rather thinking about that and playing for it, was trapped in front of the crease. LBW, next ball for 30. Saud Shakil 35, not out. And the night watchman, Naseem Shah, yet to score. So 328 for 4. Stephen Finn's alongside me. He's had a few long, hot days in the field himself. I just felt, I don't know if you agree with me, but just the way they all walked off there, you know, that's a long day all together. They've walked off as a group. Could they've done any more with about taking another couple of wickets? But they've really stuck to it today.
I think I think you've been spot on. Yeah, I think they'll look back on that and actually with a lot of pride of what they've done there. And there's something about, as a team, when you're finding it hard, you're finding it tough, you never throw the towel in. I think at times, not in this regime, in the Stokes and McCullum regime, but at times you've seen players disappearing off at different angles and people going off all the time constantly to change their shirts, to have half an hour in the dressing room. Everyone mucked in together out there today, and that's a massive thing that Brendan McCullum preaches about inside the dressing room, is when there's a ball running towards the boundary, I don't care how fast it's going, until it hits that rope, you're sprinting flat out towards it. And all of the big fast bowlers who put in a big shift with very little preparation time today, they bowled their heart out when they bowled, and then also when they're steaming after those balls on the boundary, they're sprinting flat out towards it. That shows commitment, and that's what this team wants. And I think that's why it helps them hang in there together all the way through the day. And they were really impressive in the way that they did that. They noticed when those two batters, Masood and Abdullah, were getting tired. They recognised that hanging it outside the off stump to Abdullah might cause a false stroke. It did. They got at the opening. They broke the partnership, and then they tightened the screw afterwards. So yes, it has been Pakistan's day on the whole when you look at it and you look at the broader picture, but I think England can be really happy with how they acquitted themselves today.
Nobody flagged. I thought the fielding stood up. That's often the first sign, isn't it? You know, the ball goes through legs or whatever it may be, but even in the last over there, they're chasing out towards the boundary all the way. I mean, Pope within a yard of the edge again. I mean, it's what keeps a team's morale high, isn't it?
Well, it means when you come back tomorrow morning, actually, you've almost forgotten about that massive partnership at the beginning of the day, and all of the noises tomorrow in the huddle will be, we hung in there, we pushed back against them, and they showed some fragility, because Pakistan, you have to remember, are off the back of 5 losses in Test cricket on the spin, and the more memories of that you can evoke as a team, and you push back, you hope that eventually you'll crack them at some stage. So I thought Pakistan played really well today. I don't think the experience of Babar Azam there at the end managed that situation very well. That the game just stood still, as if they were waiting for the end of the day from 2 hours before the close of play. And I think that gave England a bit of energy. And the day is Pakistan's, but I think England tomorrow morning will still be enthused.
They're going to miss some heavy legs tomorrow, though, aren't they? I mean, the fact they've gone off there, you know, they're going to have to come back tomorrow. They still shine on that new ball, but that is going to be a challenge as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And
they have got the night watch, remind you. I mean, at least they got an end to really go at.
Yes. Well, hopefully you don't want him to come in and start flaying it around like he's holding a baseball bat and it goes off to all corners. That's that'd be the worst possible start. But yeah, they've got the night watchman to open things up, and pulling up tomorrow morning is the hardest thing for the bowlers. You can settle in, and you can, whilst you're out there, you think, and just tough through it, guts through today. When you wake up tomorrow morning, it feels like all of your body is full of cement, and you're hobbling towards the bathroom to have a shower first thing. That's when you have to really start kicking in, and that's where the preparation really does help you out. If you do have 2 weeks preparation before a series, it's those times like tomorrow morning that help you feel just that bit fresher. But England weren't afforded that. They're just going to have to get on with it.
Talk about the preparation in a second, but Chris Woakes gets a bit of flack, doesn't he, for his overseas record. Wasn't that piece of bowling just absolutely perfect? I mean, it was absolutely. What more could you ask than that?
Yeah, but zip it past the outside edge of one of the best players in the world, and then nip one back in to smash his front pad. And after we mentioned the preparation, and I'm sure we will move on to that at some stage. But as a bowler, to be that accurate and precise with what you're doing under those levels of fatigue, I found coming back at the end of the day so hard to bowl with the same precision, to bowl with the same zip, to be able to have the clarity of thought, to do what Woakes did there. I think that shows his longevity, and actually I know his record on paper it isn't great overseas, but you see pieces of bowling like that, and you want that in your lineup.
It's interesting watching Ollie Pope. There was quite a lot going on in the field, wasn't there? I don't know about this short pitch attack. Well, you tell me what you think, but I mean, on a pitch like this, I felt a bit sorry for Bryden Carson in his first Test match. On a pitch that's giving him nothing, to come in and be expected to bowl a whole spell of bouncers. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's tough, and I think the way that this team have played over the last couple of years have flown in the face of what we would anticipate to be the classic Test match cricket. And I think the thinking behind it would have been, this is the best time to bowl this plan because the ball is hard, the seam is hard, you might get a bit of movement to cramp a batter accidentally, or it might hit the seam and it might just kick up that bit more. I think rather than using that as a last resort, I think they saw how little the ball was doing off a good length and thought we have to try and utilise the hardness of this ball as best we can. So Bryden Carr, yes, he's making his Test debut. You'd love to just settle in and bowl a couple of overs of good length and settle into it. But his job within this team, when you look at the composition of it, is almost replacing Mark Wood and what he did here 2 years ago. That extra pace, that extra kick off the surface. And this team appreciates things like that. And where before, at the end of the day, 15 years ago, you'd look at your figures and you think, I've got none for 52 there from 14 overs. It's been a tough first day in Test cricket. Everyone inside that dressing room will be getting around him saying you've done a brilliant job for the team. That enthuses you. He'll come back tomorrow and he could mop up some rabbit pie and get some just rewards.
Well, he could. I thought Pope was quite busy though. You're quite imaginative with some of those fields. Those ring fields that actually worked. It worked well here 2 years ago. And of course, it was Stokes had an extraordinary tour really as captain and made so much happen. And it looks as if some of that's rubbing off on Ollie Pope now. Yeah,
and it's recognising the right times to do it. And I think Ben Stokes in that tour 2 years ago, he was almost telepathic at reading the right times to do it. And Ollie Pope, having been around then, would have sussed out and recognised the right time to use those plans, and you could just tell as the batters were getting fatigued, especially Abdullah Rashid for Shafiq at the top of the order. You could tell that his feet weren't going towards the ball, his head wasn't going towards the ball. He didn't want to run quick singles, so Pope changes the plan wide outside the off stump, pack a ring field, an umbrella field towards the point region, and hope that he reaches and gropes for a ball. And he did exactly that. Spliced it to point. It was good captaincy and good execution from Atkinson to deliver that.
What do you think about Ben Stokes' situation at the moment? We watched him bowl this morning, and he did a lot of running too, didn't he? And then he walked the drinks round, and so sort of being involved. But if you're not fit to play today with a hamstring, I mean, there must be a question mark about the whole series, do you think? Also, in the next game, I don't know.
Yeah, especially when you get to the latter stages of your career. I don't think it's unfair to say that Ben, being 33, I think now, is towards the latter stages of his career. By no means close to giving up, but he's a very fit lad. But you do take that little bit longer to return to. And it's the top end sprinting when you have a hamstring injury like he had, and he was carried off the pitch. We must not forget it wasn't just a little twinge. It was
batting, not bowling too.
Yes.
I mean that's you often sort of think about the actual turning and the running that actually batting can be just as dangerous as bowling. Really.
Yeah, but it's those top-level sprints where you see the guys like Pope towards the back end when you're fatigued, you're reaching for the ball, you're sprinting towards the boundary. When you're dealing with a hamstring injury, that is the last piece of the puzzle. You can bowl at 100%, you can bat, you can play all the shots, you can play the pull shots that need your hips to move into position. The one thing that physios and S&C coaches are scared of is that last 5%, the top 5% of sprinting, and good luck telling Ben Stokes not to sprint in that top 5% when chasing a ball towards the boundary.
Well, indeed. But it just seems, he missed that whole series against Sri Lanka. There's been a big sort of investment in his recovery here. They're going to want to make sure that he's absolutely right, aren't they? Not squander all of that time.
No, exactly, and that'd be majorly frustrating for everyone, I think, especially with New Zealand coming up in the not too distant future. It feels as though it'd be silly to do anything too soon, but it's going to be something for us, I think, to keep a beady eye on. As soon as he starts, he bowled a spell before the day's play today at a decent intensity with the ball. It would be interesting to see if on day 3 of this game he bowls a spell in the morning and then a spell at lunch, and then builds up towards bowling 3 spells in the day, which will be the final thing for him to tick off from a bowling perspective. That would suggest to me, if we start seeing him tick things like that off in the middle during games.
Yes, he didn't bowl at lunchtime, did he?
No.
Ollie Stone did.
That might come later in the test.
But it's such a compressed series, I guess is what I'm saying, that there's such little time, isn't there, to actually get out there and play again. So Andy, anything that strikes you particularly?
Just the shape of the day and how England gradually wrested back some control, although Pakistan obviously remain on top. The first session Pakistan scored at 4.9 and over, the second session 4.1, and the third session 2.8 per over, and England took 3 wickets, having taken only 1 in the first 2 sessions. That 1 wicket completed a world record for the Pakistan openers Abdullah Shafiq and Saim Hoyub, albeit one that they will not want to have earned. Their 7th consecutive single-figure opening stand, which no other pair of openers has ever suffered.
Does seem remarkable.
Test history.
I mean, second innings, of course, they've got to go and give it a thrash, haven't they?
You'd think so.
Yeah. This is a really extraordinary sequence. Abdullah Shafiq made his century on the back of 6 scores of under 5 in his previous 7 innings, and his stand with Shan Masood 253 was Pakistan's 6th highest against England. Shan Masood's 151, the 3rd highest by a Pakistan captain against England. His first century and his first score over 60 since his 156 at Old Trafford at the start of the 2020 series.
So Atif's arrived. A bit of a roller coaster for you today, Atif. You were very glum in the first few minutes for that first wicket. Then you were actually rather boisterous and a bit loud, I thought, during mid-afternoon. And then you just tailed off a little bit towards the end of the day there.
I don't know what you mean. I'm completely impartial broadcaster all day. I've very much enjoyed it. I think, if you were looking at it from a Pakistani perspective, that wicket of Babar Azam, it does take the sheen off ever so slightly. But if you had offered Pakistan at the start of the day 328 for 4, they would happily take that. It's probably their best day of 2024, I would say, that they've had today here in Multan.
Yes. Now I was basing my comment really on the article that you've written.
That's right. Yes.
And I mean, you were, or you have been, only it's only one day gone, but you have reasons for concern about how Pakistan are going to play in this series.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about this on the broadcast today a fair bit, and as you mentioned, there's an article on the BBC Sport website where I talked about how disastrous Pakistan's 2024 has been so far. I mean, they were whitewashed by Australia, which is sort of, to an extent you expect based on their record in Australia, but you don't expect them to lose to the USA in the T20 World Cup. You don't expect them to lose a match to Ireland in T20s. You don't expect them to lose a test match to Bangladesh at home, never mind be whitewashed by them in a 2-match series at the ground where you're usually quite strong. So, they've been coming off a very lean run in Test cricket anyway. They haven't won any games at home since nearly 4 years now. So you have to go a long way back for Pakistan's last win at home. So, there were reasons to be glum. I wasn't reveling in it. I was having a chat with one of the Pakistan team at the start of just before practice yesterday, and he'd read the article, and he said something to the effect of, "How could you do that to us?" And I said, "Well, no, look, I'm working with what you've given me, and I left a little morsel in there for people who want to be positive." And I said, "Well, it would be the most Pakistan thing ever to turn this whole year on its head and win this series 3-0. It would be the most quintessentially Pakistani cricket thing to do."
Well, even winning 1-0 would do.
Well, there we go, right?
Yeah.
I suspect we won't see any draws in this series, but I just think there's an opportunity there. I mean, for Shan Masood, they could have said, okay, you've lost 5 on the bounce, ta-ta, bye-bye. But they would have given them an opportunity to drop him from the team, to play another batter. There's plenty of bench strength for them as well. But they gave Shan an opportunity to say, right, it can be 8-0 or it could be 5-3. It's up to you. And I think he really took that to heart. He put in a lot of time in practice yesterday. Zoltz and I watched him practice for a good hour, mostly against Abrar Ahmed, just working on his power hitting, his aggressive batting, and he demonstrated that to great effect today. So the carrot is there for Pakistan to perform. They don't really stand a realistic chance of World Test Championship qualification, but there's pride, and also there's just resurrecting a bit of faith from their supporters, which has been dwindling of late.
Yeah, and it's Stephen often that when the captain's often under pressure, isn't he? A failing captain. So to come out with a statement like that in the first innings of the series is it's a big leap, actually.
Yeah, and it's the manner in which he did it, actually, as well. He was constantly looking to be on the front foot, both figuratively and literally. He was advancing down the pitch, hitting Bashir off his line and length very early. So, and he kept that rate up all the way through his innings, and it's a statement. I look at some of the biggest series that I played in, and the captain scoring runs early in the series is a statement. Alistair Cook was brilliant at doing it. Joe Root was very good at doing it. Scoring those runs when your back's against the wall and you're under pressure is very important.
Yeah, and again, having had this run of defeats, look, this is only the first day, but if Pakistan do get, 450 and England go at it, will that sort of reignite some of those concerns, do you think, about their form? I think confidence won't be high, will it?
Well, I mean, the bowlers would have watched today. They would have watched England's attack, albeit that Pakistan's attack has a lot more experience than England's attack does. If you take Chris Woakes out of the equation, you've got the likes of Shaheen and Naseem and Amir Jamal, who's coming in off a good run. You've got Abrar Ahmed. You've got a decent bowling attack there, but conditions aren't exactly in your favour. It would be good from a Pakistani perspective to have that cushion of at least 450. From their perspective, they're 4 down at the moment. They've got a night watcher out there at the moment. So there's still plenty of batting to come. You've got Rizwan to come. He's actually been in some form. Salman Ali Agha, whose ability to play with the tail is well documented. There's some very, very good batting to come. Never mind Saud Shakil, the vice captain, who's out there as well, and I'm sure he wants to put in a statement performance as well. There's some excellent batting. The tricky phase, as Finney was saying earlier, will be that first session, getting through that. The shininess of the ball, because when the ball stops moving, there's very little there for the bowlers. Pakistan are thinking we want to bat another full day. England are thinking we need to knock them over before tea tomorrow.
And there were just a couple of signs of concern if you're going to bat last on this pitch. We saw a couple of balls from Bashir's spin past the outside edge on day one, and then also one that kept low towards off stump, towards the back end there. Yeah,
absolutely. Right, I think tomorrow, Finney, you're going to wake up relieved that you're a commentator and not a fast bowler.
Absolutely. I keep waking up feeling like I've bowled 15 overs in this heat, though, which isn't a good sign.
We can now just drop in and listen to Jeetan Patel's thoughts.
Well, Jeetan, how did you assess that first day?
Finished up really well. Hard day. Really hard day. I think losing the toss on there, they batted superbly well. I think that partnership was amazing between Abdullah and Shan. They used every opportunity to score, put us under pressure, and they probably knocked us off some really good areas that we bowled at. So we had to find out different plans. I think we've learnt a lot about ourselves today as well. But ultimately, couldn't be more proud of how the boys are about what they did today.
What sort of things have you learnt then?
In terms of field placements, what lines we can attack for how long, lengths, whether it's a bumper plan, whether it's short catches. We didn't really know what sort of pitches we were going to come across when we got here. So to figure that out pretty quickly, to take those 3 wickets tonight gives us a lot of energy going tomorrow.
Were you actually quite surprised in the end that the pitch was pretty flat when there was a lot of talk about there's some grass on the pitch and might actually help the seamers in this series?
But do you know what? Like, you lose a toss or whatever game, when you start a game on a fresh wicket, you think there might be something a bit more in it. It didn't really do as much as we thought early doors. I mean, we'll see when we bat. It might be different, but we thought it might do a little bit more than it did. It flattened out quite quickly, and maybe that's just the heat. It's so hot here, and bowlers do tire quicker. So I think that's a really good thing for us going forward, is understanding that. Right, okay, now we can formulate better plans or different plans going into tomorrow morning as well.
Was that a toughest day Test cricket as you're going to get?
It was so hard. I mean, I couldn't congratulate those boys in the change room anymore. I think they did everything they could. They threw themselves around as much as they could in the field. They chased everything to the boundary. It's very easy to give up on those small things in this game. But they did everything they could to get us in a situation tomorrow where, we take 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, it looks pretty rosy.
Is there anything you feel you could have done better?
Do you know what? There's always things you can do better, mate. We always talk about putting 2 more on it. Like, if we'd got 2 more tonight, 6 down, wow, what an amazing day. I think we're always looking that way, is how far can we push it. At the end of the day, we want to do everything a lot better. That's where we want to keep pushing, is how much better can we get, how much more can we advance ourselves going forward. Every game is another learning. So I think we're in a good space.
You're the spin bowling coach. How did you feel the spinners went today?
I thought they bowled really well. I thought Shan and Abdullah batted really well, took the opportunities when they could. Once we got our lines right and we got settled, I think we bowled very well. I think Jack, coming back into his first Test match after a while, it was amazing. And Bash, what he does, he's just done it again. He's attacked the top of leg stump on a day 1 wicket very, very well with some very good fields. You don't always get your wickets, do you? But they will come in a rush at some point.
320 odd for 4 at the close of play. I mean, if it's advantage Pakistan, I think you would accept that. But I think we've probably seen enough from this England team to know that it ain't necessarily done yet.
Well, no, it's certainly not done yet. But no one really knows what's going to happen tomorrow, and that's the beauty of this game. We all rock up tomorrow with a fresh mind, and we look at what opportunities we've got in front of us. And I think that's all we look at. The result will look after itself. We'll do whatever we can, but the result will look after itself.
That's Chetan Patel with Simon. Let's get some reaction from the Pakistan camp. Abdullah Shafiq has also been speaking to Simon.
Well, Abdullah, how satisfying was that day for you?
Yeah, as a batting unit, we have done well here. Yeah, especially in the first day. It's always about setting the tone. So, as a batting unit, I think we have done well, and we will be looking for the upcoming days. Yeah.
What was the feeling like for you to experience those conditions and then to succeed on that surface and in those conditions?
Actually, I was not doing well in the past some innings, so it was really a challenging innings for me. You have to learn some things from the past mistakes which you have done. So I'm able to do well here. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Does that make it even more rewarding, the fact you've had some failures in the past?
Yeah, as a cricketer and as a sportsman, you have to cope up with every situation you get. So yeah, I feel confident now after scoring some runs. Yeah.
Your coach has just walked past us actually and said the pitch wasn't as flat as everyone says it is. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it's not that easy. It's because you can say that the Test cricket is not easy because the red ball is always challenging, and the bowlers which England is having, so they are all professional and they know how to bowl well. So it's not an easy because as we play now, so England will also play on the same pitch.
What about the state of the game after the first day? How many you've scored, how you feel about your first day's effort in context of the rest of the game?
Yeah, the first day really matters a lot. So yeah, we have done well here. So we have set a tone as a batting unit. So yeah, we have to do well in the next day, and yeah, we will be in good position.